Get to know each of the 12 mayoral candidates with KKTV 11 News Know Before You Vote with this in-depth interview featuring Christopher Mitchell.
The first question I have for you is, what do you think is the mayor's primary role?
Okay, the mayor's primary role is to act as, quote, CEO of the city government. And so it's an executive role in which he or she will be supervising the function of the various departments and also providing guidance for those departments and vision going forward for the city. Basically, vision is not really a catchphrase, but it is actually part of the job description in that the mayor must provide a path that he or she wants to lead the city forward on.
What do you think of Mayor John Suthers' performance? And if elected, would you keep it in the same direction or change course?
I feel that John Suthers overall has been a steady hand as mayor, but I feel that there's other areas I see the city regressing under his leadership. And basically what I mean by regressing, meaning we're leaving our basic tenets as the city of champions. And Mayor Suthers has been more or less, in some ways, sweeping issues under the rug, especially homelessness, and also the lack of involvement in maintaining service coverage for our public safety. And so in those areas, I am not very happy with his performance, but overall, he's been a steady hand and has done a good job.
How would you propose to stretch taxpayer dollars and still achieve your goals as mayor?
Okay, basically, it goes back to the first question. The job of the mayor is also to provide budgetary guidance in which a budget is formed and that budget is then approved by city council. And so basically, what needs to be done with any organization such as a city government when a budget is involved is first the person in charge needs to have a good sense of where the money is going currently, and then do a review on a per department basis and look to where we can readjust where those funds and allocations are going. And that is very much a concern for this community right now because there's a lot of people contending for those dollars, and all those voices or departments, they do have legitimate needs, but we have to prioritize those needs. And so as mayor, I would first look at an evaluation of where the money is currently going and see how we can make adjustments to and prioritize our future expenditures. For example, there's an issue with the Parks and Rec where they're needing additional funding to bring about capital investments, and that is a noble cause, but is it a priority? And so we need to look at all of the departments and find where those priorities are.
How can the mayor have an impact on homelessness in the region?
That's a very good question. I just alluded to that. Basically, homelessness is a community problem. It is not just something we can sweep under the rug. And we need to take a more comprehensive view, and the mayor has the job of being a leader on that issue. And what I mean by that is follow through. The current mayor, Suthers, lacks follow through on this issue, and I alluded to that earlier in the questioning. And what I mean by that, it's not just enough to say we have a problem. It's not enough to have, say, a police officer go up to a homeless person and ask them if they're okay. We need to have follow through, and that follow through is a two-pronged approach. It's a law enforcement, public safety issue. It's a public health issue, and it's also a humanitarian issue. So we have to have law enforcement, but we also have to have a redemptive path. And I don't feel the current government has provided follow through from the beginning to the end on that issue.
What can the next elected mayor do to help with the affordable housing crisis?
Okay, what I see as mayor, the mayor has influence as through appointments that he or she will make to the departments, and that includes the planning department. And right now, the planning department, in my view, is producing ill-conceived community development plans, and they're pushing that out there with no real cohesive message on how the city grows. And growth is the center point of many issues, such as affordable housing, infrastructure, service coverage, like I had mentioned before, in terms of the public safety aspect. So we need to take a look at how we're growing, because the outcroppings of growth and how we manage it affect the attainability of housing and the affordability of housing. And so I believe that the mayor needs to take a leadership role in setting the pace for how the planning department works in cohesion with the other departments, not simply as a compartmentalized entity.
How should Colorado Springs handle city growth given the water constraints in the West?
Okay, so that's also a very good question in terms of, especially with our eastern front of growth, meaning that we're growing eastward, and there's several issues related to annexations and water usage. And currently there's a 130% water rule that has now been approved. So I'm looking at that growth is a phenomenon that needs to be managed in terms of a graduated approach. And what I mean by a graduated approach means that we can still grow as a community, but as we grow, we need to consolidate the service coverage, the natural resources, and this is referring to water as one of those components, but also natural resources, meaning the conservation of open space. And it is basically a well-known fact that how we grow and how we maintain the landscape in its natural state has a great impact on how we actually alter how natural resources are integrated into our community. So once again, I'm going back to the planning department and cohesion with other departments such as Colorado Springs Utilities, is that all these departments need to have a champion, i.e. the mayor, who will coordinate amongst those departments so that we can find ways to grow, but also in a balanced fashion, so we are conserving our open space because that's why people want to live here. But also we need to conserve the natural resources as we grow. And that cannot be, once again, in a compartmentalized fashion. The planning department needs to be working in unison with, say, the Colorado Springs Utilities and other interested entities in the community in order to balance out our growth with our need for conservation. And that currently is not happening. It is a short-sighted approach that's currently going on.
Finally, Christopher, why should voters cast their ballot for you?
Okay, I'm running as an engineer. I'm an engineer by trade, so I'm a regular citizen. I'm a resident running for mayor. I'm not a career politician, but I also believe that many of the residents of Colorado Springs know much more about what needs to be done with the city rather than career politicians. And I'm running for this office because I care greatly about this city. I don't want to leave. I want to stay here, and I want to make it a city of the future, not just a city of champions, but a city of the future that other people in other cities can look to for working examples on how to run their cities. And right now, we have a city government, including Mayor Suthers, who are not leading. They are simply maintaining a status quo in their career politician modality. And then there's other candidates in this field that are also career politicians. And they say they offer innovation when they are simply offering more of the same things that don't work. So I believe fresh ideas from the residents of Colorado Springs, and I will be a mayor that will listen to those ideas from the residents. I just don't want to be elected and then sit downtown at the city hall and just do my thing. I want to know what the residents are thinking, because 99% of the time, the residents actually know more about what needs to be done with the city than the people who are career politicians.
Christopher Mitchell, candidate for mayor of City of Colorado Springs, we want to thank you again for joining us in the 11 Breaking News Center, and we wish you all the best this upcoming election season.
Okay, thank you very much. It was a pleasure to interview with you.